And the phaser, one of the things about the phaser is that for it to be healthy, we need to keep a narrowed vocal tract position. So that means nasality. Pay attention to how he sings here. More space, but here is clean. Not fooling. Samuel, Samuel. That's a great example of phaser. This would be what we would call a phaser creaky because it has more crackling. It's a bit stronger, more compressed. Samuel. I'm back to school now. Gentlemen, we're back in the studio with a good cup of coffee for one more vocal analysis. And I'm really excited to talk about what we're going to talk about today because it seems like Steven Tyler is back. For those who don't know, Aerosmith needed to cancel some of the shows from the last tour, which would be the last, because Steven Tyler got some problems with his voice. It was being said that he fractured his larynx, and that's not common at all. This is something that might happen sometimes in accidents like car accidents, but not exactly with singing. Like, you need some trauma to be able to break the cartilages that you have inside your larynx, which is quite unusual. But we'll discuss more about that. For those who are new here, my name is Caio. I'm a singer-songwriter and voice teacher. In voice teaching, I focus on laryngeal physiology and laryngeal biomechanics in order to achieve the sounds, the schemes, the techniques that we have in contemporary singing, including the vocal distortions. Yeah, yeah! And because I work with vocal distortions, it's fantastic to analyze these incredible singers that made and are still making history in vocal pedagogy, and more specifically the vocal pedagogy that deals with contemporary singing, that deals with rock singing. All right. Now, as I was telling to you guys, it's not something common to have a fracture on your larynx. We do have some cartilages that can be fractured. However, that requires some serious trauma that happens in accidents, but it's not exactly something that you will cause with your singing. It's not something like singing wrong might cause. It could cause, for instance, if he's performing and he's using his microphone stand and he just does something wrong and he hits his throat with the microphone stand. That might happen. I've seen a few clips from the show that happened, even though we don't get to see the moment where the problem happens. I think it was the last song they played, Dream On Last, and I think that he went on top of the piano to sing the high part, and another possibility would be, imagine that you fall and then you just like hit the edge of the piano with your throat. That could possibly cause a fracture, but we don't get to see any of that in the performance. Something else that some people pointed out that could be the problem was a vocal hemorrhage, and that's way more common for singers, especially if you're not hydrating well. If you had an episode of acid reflux, that could be something that you would deal with in the future, so it makes way more sense. But yeah, Steven Tyler wasn't singing for a while, I think 1 to a couple years, something like that, and he got back to singing a few months ago. I've seen a few clips. He was doing great, and this weekend he sang at the Black Sabbath farewell show, which was the Back to the Beginning, and I want to listen to that. Let's discuss. I haven't seen it. I've seen a few clips on Instagram, but I haven't seen the whole performance. And yeah, I just got a small clip here. Let's watch and let's discuss it.
We'll bring Chad Smith up to the stage.
He's always so performatic. So he's doing a B4 with a phaser voice, that kind of vocal distortion a lot. Come on, come on, come on! I sing this one with my band, Mind Gaze. So, oh guys, this is so great, because here's the thing. When it comes to vocal pedagogy in general, we have hundreds of years of history, thousands of years of history. But when it comes to rock singing or rock voice pedagogy, we are just starting to understand what these singers used to do and what they do and what's healthy and what's not. And Steven Tyler was always one of the greatest examples of what's possible in terms of keeping a good vocal health as you practice and as you perform with vocal distortions. So he's a great example of singing with vocal distortions in a healthy way. And for this song, we have a lot of what we call a phaser voice inside vocal anthropysiology. By the way, these names, or the names of the techniques that I'll be using here, they come from vocal anthropysiology, which is what serves as a framework for my work as a voice teacher. Is basically, it is a field of study in voice that deals with a range of different sciences that talk about voice, like anthropology, laryngology, physiology, psychology. And inside vocal anthropophysiology, we try to understand what's happening inside when you perform certain sounds. So for instance, this kind of vocal distortion here is a glottic distortion that happens at the level of the vocal folds. You have your vocal folds allowing some breathiness, some leak of air, hey, but at the same time, you have your arytenoid cartilages creating a bit of a crackling. And you have both happening at the same time, what creates a phaser. It's a balanced distortion between crackling and hiss, wheezing. And the phaser, one of the things about the phaser is that for it to be healthy, we need to keep a narrowed vocal tract position. So that means more nasality. Pay attention to how he sings here. More space, but here is clean. Not fooling! Samuel! That's a great example of phaser. This would be what we would call a phaser creaky, because it has more crackling. It's a bit stronger, more compressed. Samuel! And back to school dance. So he's playing around with different vocal tract positions, shapes, like Samuel, back to school dance. More space, less distortion, then more distortion, less space. A lot of phasers. Way down inside. Way down inside. As you can hear, I got a cold, so I just woke up with a cold this morning, and I'm doing my best here with the examples, but they won't be perfect. The thing is, I want you to understand what a phaser voice is, and I'll do my best to show you. However, my voice is definitely not in great shape today. You gotta give it my love! Gotta give it my love! Same idea for distortion. And pay attention to the distance with the microphone. The microphone is really, really close. He's not doing, I'm gonna give it my... No, it goes really close, and then he controls the volume that he's producing with his voice. I'm gonna give it my love! I'm gonna give it my love! I'm gonna give it my love! And that shows great control, because he's controlling the volume that he's producing with his air pressure, the way that the muscles inside the larynx are behaving, the way that his filter, the vocal tract, is shaped. All of that is leading to a certain degree of volume. And instead of keeping the volume loud the whole time, and putting his larynx to work a lot to support all that air pressure, and also retroflex rebound pressure, because we are narrowing the vocal tract to make the sound a bit brighter. Instead of making his larynx deal with all that, he's being smart. He's reducing the amount of air pressure that he's sending to keep that narrow vocal tract position and keep the distortion happening there, and then the microphone really close, instead of just sending more air and putting the microphone on the other side of the street. So that's a sign of a great singer, great control, great technique. It's close. Guys, so here's the thing. I play this song with my band. I have a band called Mind Gaze, just as in stare right into your mind. We just released a song. I'll leave it linked here. And we do play this song, and it's so fun to sing this song live. So fun. Such a classic, right? Such a classic. By the way, we also play Dream On. Most of what we do are original songs. We do have like 3 or 4 cover songs, and it happens that one of them is Aerosmith, and the other one is Led Zeppelin. This one that he's covering here also. And here we hear perfectly the phaser. Way down inside. Whoa, he starts clean. Woman! And then for man at the end, phaser. Woman! 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 This is so nice, because pay attention to his range. The guy is singing crazily high. This is a lot of B4s, C5s. This is what we consider a high range. By the way, this kind of distortion, the phaser voice, is a kind of distortion that we will use for high notes. And of course, Steven Tyler is quite skilled singing those notes and using that distortion. But that goes to say that if you sing correctly, if you use your vocal distortions in a healthy way, you won't lose your voice, you won't lose range, you won't lose brightness, and all of that, all of those stories and fears that we have been taught by more traditional singing approaches. That's nothing wrong with traditional singing approaches, with traditional singing pedagogy. The thing is, traditional singing pedagogy is not ready to deal with these kind of singing behaviors. That's the only thing. We gotta keep in mind that we need to understand what's happening inside so that we know what works and what doesn't, what's healthy and what's not. Also important to say that often, or most of the times here, he's singing with his vocal folds active, which means that we have more muscle mass mobilized. The vocal folds are more compressed. Oh! He's not doing oh. And that's interesting, because when you're singing with that amount of strength, like keep it going, baby, keep it going, baby, then when you go for a phaser, you're not adding strength. In fact, you are loosen it up. You are making it a bit breathier, a bit softer. Keep it coolin', baby! Keep it coolin', baby! You reduce that compression. The phaser will be in the middle between active high and passive high. You are in the middle. So if you're singing mostly with your vocal folds active, the way that he's doing here, going to that kind of distortion means that you are going towards relaxation, towards a passive vocal scheme. Keep it going, baby! Such a groove, right? Sometimes he opens up more breathiness in his phaser, and we go towards something closer to what we would call a phaser howl. It's breathier. Baby, this is- See how it becomes breathier, closer to a scream? That's exactly what we call a phaser howl. Alright guys, well, that's what I wanted to analyze and discuss today. It's great to see that Steven Tyler is back, and his singing is amazing as always. A great example in rock singing, a great example in singing in general, and of course vocal distortions. Oh my god. If you want to develop your own voice, learn vocal distortions in a safe and healthy way, and also other techniques such as active schemes, passive schemes, ornaments like runs, vibrato, yodels. He also does a lot of yodels. Just to hear you breathing. Yodels. Check out my online course, Building Your Voice. We talk about all of that in there. So again, active schemes, passive schemes, vocal physiology, warm-ups, how to create your own vocal exercises. We have vocal exercise library for you to practice each of the techniques that we cover inside the course. And of course, we have a module dedicated to vocal distortion so that you can learn them in a healthy and sustainable way. Alright, so check it out. If you like this kind of content where we talk about vocal technique through a scientific based approach, then please subscribe to the channel, click the bell button so that you receive notifications when I release new videos. That helps me a lot with the algorithm. And leave your comment below what other singers or performance you would like me to analyze next. Alright, have a great day, and remember, if your concepts cannot be seen in the real world, they must change, and not the world.